Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice for radio, so today I've gone and made a video all about the first 10 minutes of Yoshi's Woolly World. This is the brand new game that just came out for the Nintendo Wii U, so I'm going to show you just the first 10 minutes, pretty much the first level. And from this we're going to be able to get our first impressions, and we're going to be able to have a good look at what the game looks like, how it initially plays, and it'll give us an idea of what to expect from the rest of the game. So sit back, grab yourself a nice cold drink, and let's have a look at Yoshi's Woolly World. So the first thing to note here, ladies and gentlemen, is just quite frankly how utterly wonderful this actually looks. The art style with just everything made of yarn is just absolutely wonderful. It is weird that Nintendo has been going to static title screens for a little while. They did it with Kirby's Rainbow Paintbrush as well, which is a little bit weird, but there's a little bit of animation here. We've got three little yarn Yoshis. We've got a blue, we've got a pink, we've got a green. They're just kind of having a little jump around. Nice little loading screen. It's quite kind of cute. And then here just showing off that there are different options for the controllers. You can use a Wii U gamepad, the classic remote, or the classic controller Pro with a Wii remote, a regular Wii remote, or the Wii U Pro controller. But with a little platformer like this, I'm a big fan of just going ahead and using the gamepad. So we're going to go for File 1, we've got to go for File 1, but there is a classic mode and a mellow mode here. Now, from what I've read of the game prior to this, it seems like it's going to be quite an easy game, but Nintendo have been doing this more and more lately, putting in mellow modes. You had on some of the Mario games lately, they've basically put a special mushroom in, so if you die too many times, you can basically get an invincibility mushroom, so there's no way you can actually end up dying. And it seems like they've gone a similar route here, just making sure that it's nice and easy so that if you want a little bit more of a challenge you can have it, but otherwise you can go through just as mellow as you absolutely like. And I love games like this. They're very inoffensive, they're very nice, but it starts off and you've got this lovely little cutscene. It doesn't take a huge amount of time to get through, it just sets it up quite nicely. So we have a classic Mario villain coming in there, and everything's made of wool. Why? Why not? We don't really need to know. And then for some reason that nobody quite knows, he's turning everybody into yarn. Why? Why not, to be honest with you? No real explanation. And just explaining it, yeah, I'm going to come through, I'm going to turn everyone into yarn, and hopefully it's all going to be quite quick. So a couple of the Yoshis run and kind of hide, and the rest of them get inevitably turned into yarn. Although it does make you wonder how the world is constructed, because if everything's made of yarn, the houses and everything, does that mean that if anything were to happen to the Yoshis themselves can then get repurposed into houses? Quite a macabre thought, but does make me wonder. And luckily, the two Yoshis which hid away, they are fine, they are safe. I smell two-player co-op coming. But alas, Yoshis, it's no good. So we clearly have a little world map there being set up, and it is your classic platformer setup. You've got a whole bunch of worlds on an overmap, you go into the world, and then it's just like every platformer really for the last like 15-20 years. And would you believe it, he's ended up dropping some of the yarn into the levels. Clearly here, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have to go through these levels and save the yarn, which is Yoshi's. And then presumably there's some kind of shaman running around who's going to be able to turn the yarn back into Yoshi's. But it's a kid's game, or at least it's got kid sensibility to it. So I don't think we need to worry all that much about what's going to happen to the Yoshis. I'm sure they will be absolutely fine. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to show you the very first level from Yoshi's Woolly World, and I like that they've done this. I was connected to the internet at the time I was recording this, and you get these little kind of stamps that come up from other people who are also playing the game and joining in. So, you eat the enemy first of all, it tells you to go down, and when you push down after eating an enemy, you kind of poop out a ball of yarn, which is a little bit weird, but it makes me not want to kill any enemies ever. Not at least in a kind of jumping on and killing them kind of way. It just makes me want to eat and poop out the enemies to turn them into yarn. And there's a little present there, which I should have undone with my tongue. We'll see me doing that in a little bit. But I love the little visual flourishes here. The fact that he kind of unwinds into yarn to go down the classic little warp pipe there from all the Mario games. And then he unwinds again at the top, where he kind of winds back up. It's just adorable all the way through. they've really committed to the visual styling of it. So we've got the classic Yoshi flutter jump here. You push A to jump and then you hold A and he does a little bit of a flutter. But I don't want to flutter over there, I want to run underneath. And you notice when he starts running, he gets little wheels made of wool that come out underneath him, which is just a cool little visual touch as you're running. Now, if you push X, as it's telling me to do, this comes up, and then when you push X again, he chucks the yarn. And if you chuck the yarn at the right thing, something happens. You essentially make a new piece of the world. So at particular times here, it seems that we get a little yarn bucket, and then we can use that yarn bucket, we can hit them, and we get little balls of yarn coming out, which is really quite funky. And like the kind of Kirby game we saw a little while ago, there's little things here where, because the world's made of yarn, you can kind of interact with it as if it is. There are some platforms, like we just saw some walls that you can actually push out the way. And here we're throwing the balls of yarn we've collected at the spaces to make platforms. And you'll notice, not coincidentally, that they actually put that bucket full of yarn right before that, so there was no chance of you not having the yarn you needed to actually go about and get up there. Again, it's the first level in what looks like a fairly simple game, so they are trying to make it a little bit nice for you. So here I'm clearly failing to get up on the top platform, but then I notice there's something to undo, and Yoshi can use his tongue to undo the big piece of yarn there, and then you poop that out into a giant ball of yarn, which I kind of like. It's weird, but it looks kind of cool when he's running around and just having balls of yarn following him everywhere. So one day we're going to figure out how to save that little yarn Yoshi there. We're not too worried. What we are going to do is get up to this platform here and collect ourselves a sunflower. And apparently I've missed one, but it's my first playthrough of the game, so I'm not going to get terribly worried about collecting everything the first time I go through the level. And we just passed a little checkpoint there, which killed all the enemies in the vicinity, and it means that if I do die, I'm going to be alright. So here we've got those mystery things, and when we hit them with our balls of yarn, we get presents, which is kind of nice. Everyone likes a bit of a present now and then. Now there's another little present there, and apparently I still haven't worked out I'm supposed to open it with my tongue. Although I did work out I can turn into Hammer Yarn Yoshi, which is kind of cool. And you'll notice there's a little bit at the side there which I can undo with my tongue, but it looks like I'm not going to bother. Now these are kind of things, with games like this, I don't want to run through and get everything first time round. Personally, I'm a fan of going through the level the first time, just blitzing through the level, having fun, seeing what I can do. But most of the time here, I go around the levels a second time, and that's when I really try and get my collectibles and look for every little thing I can find. This isn't supposed to be a walkthrough showing you how to do a perfect run of the first level, it's just showing you the gameplay from the level. And it seems like there is a limit to how many enemies you can actually poop out, because I've apparently reached the limit of the enemies that can be pooped out into yarn, because now I'm just eating them and they're running away. But again there, we throw the yarn at the particular parts, at the little fluffy cloud, and we get little yarn-based presents. And now I think I'm finally going to actually figure out it's a present. You unwrap presents. Arguably I should have figured that out before, but it's not supposed to be a walkthrough, so I'm going to be quite okay with this. And there's a lot here which basically revolves around running through the level as Yoshi and chucking balls of yarn everywhere. You chuck the ball of yarn at the coins to get the cloud, and then you chuck the yarn at the cloud to get the sunflower. And you notice there, you can actually just jump on the enemies, and they as we saw there, they kind of disintegrate into yarn, but that seems like a waste when you can eat them and poop them out as yarn. Just jumping on them and making them disintegrate just seems a little bit less fun. Now annoyingly here, I'm actually too close to the wall to shoot out the enemy, so I'm going to have to jump away from the wall, shoot out the enemy, and then jump back so that I can undo that little bit with me tongue. But it's totally worth it because I've just saved one of my yarn friends. Of course, I've also not saved two of my yarn friends, but I'm going to do a second run through of this level, so when we go back through it, we can see the people, and we'll give them a good run through. They will be well catered for, ladies and gentlemen. So it looks like we're getting to the end of the level here, because that is a giant sunflower of a different type. It seems to be leading us out of the level, and yes, we have a little thing to jump through, and boom! That, ladies and gentlemen, is the first level of Yoshi's Woolly World. And as we can see here, there's an awful lot of collectibles that we are supposed to be getting, but we can get more of those collectibles on the second run through. I don't think I've done terribly, but we can do better. Okay, so hopefully that was quite enjoyable, quite entertaining, quite informative for all of you. I quite like it. It's a fun little game. The look of it is amazing. I worry it's going to be a little bit too easy, and I worry there's going to be a whole bunch of collectibles I'm not really going to want to keep going through and collecting. I worry that I'm going to play through the game and enjoy it, but then stop, shall we say, slightly earlier than the developers intended me to. But hey ho, who knows? I am going to come back with more videos from this lovely game, Yoshi's Woolly World, and the very next one, which you can expect in a couple days' time, is going to focus on the use of amiibos within the game, and I'm going to take some of my amiibos out and see exactly what happens when we use them in the game. Make sure you like, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and if you've already subscribed to this channel, please go and get a friend to subscribe on your behalf. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with more video game related content very soon indeed.